What's up guys, JJ here, and today we're going to talk about one of the most common ailments in the aquarium hobby, the dreaded white spot disease. We're talking about ick.
He gave you all the ick! No, I didn't!
So not too long ago I made a video where I went to a big box pet store and I tried to buy some of the biggest fish in there, and it was a really fun video. I actually love the fish, but I made a mistake and I didn't quarantine anybody, and we did end up with some ick in our tanks, which happens because guess what? Most fish stores don't quarantine, so fish come with ick, or they get ick and it falls off, comes back, or there's just like one spot, and then if there's stress or not the right conditions, it multiplies quickly, and that's okay. No shade, I'm not giving anybody any slack, I'm not blaming anybody, it just happens. So for anybody getting fish, know that this is something that could happen. This is a real thing. So if you're concerned, you've got a tank you've established a long time and you don't want anything to mess it up when you get new fish, quarantine. So that being said, let's talk about what ick actually is, what it looks like, and how to treat it. So ick is a parasite, and you'll see it when you start noticing little white spots, and it usually starts on the fins, around the gills, and if it gets to the part where the scales are, you've probably got a pretty bad case of ick. And ick is pretty much contagious. It can spread very quickly. So you might see one or two spots one day, and then you come back around and the spots have multiplied and multiplied, because the life cycle of this parasite is pretty quick and they can multiply very quickly and be transferred from one fish to another. And some symptoms you might see your fish dealing with if they're starting to get ick, or any other parasite for that matter, is you might see a change in appetite. Maybe they're eating less, or you could see them like rubbing against decor in the tank and trying to scratch those parasites off. Now let's talk about treatment. So what do you do if you think your fish might have ick? You're starting to see one or two spots on those fins. Well, you don't want to wait around, because when it gets bad, it does get really bad, and it kind of has an exponential effect the way they multiply. So like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. They just double and double and double and double. And yes, I do like numbers. So you want to treat it right away as soon as you're feeling pretty confident that your fish are having a parasite issue. You want to take care of it as fast as possible. So first, I'm going to talk about some natural remedies. The first thing I do when I'm concerned, when I have fish that might have ick or any other sickness really, is I raise the temperature a little bit. So if you're used to keeping your fish at like 78, we can do something upwards of 82, 84. I don't really go past the mid 80s. And this is something I use in my home aquariums and in my fish store. So first thing I do is raise the temperature up to about the mid 80s. And then the second thing I do is add salt. And what these things will do is help your fish fight off the parasite. It'll raise that slime coat up so they can start, hopefully, fighting it off on their own. And sometimes that's all I need to do. I raise the temp, I add a little bit of salt, and it's all taken care of. Now for your salt, just read the directions on the box. Most people in most stores are going to use that API carton of aquarium salt. Don't use table salt. Go ahead and get the real aquarium salt. And whatever brand. Of course, this isn't a sponsored post or anything. I'm just talking about things that you'll see in your local stores and things that I've used for myself. So sometimes just raising the temperature and adding a little salt can take care of it completely, and you're good to go. If you see it getting worse, you might have to start using some actual medications. Now, there's a lot of products out there. I'm only going to speak from experience that I have, which, like I said, is multiple tanks at home, as well as running an aquatic section in a fish store. So I have used a variety of medications, and I'll tell you the ones that have worked for me and the ones that maybe didn't work so well. There are some herbal treatments, and the like herb tonic and stuff I haven't had the best success with. I do think that it helps, but it doesn't immediately eliminate the problem like some other products. So I would look for anything with the ick cure on it, or ick remedy. So things I've used, first time I ever treated it was Hikari Ick X, and I thought it was absolutely great, no problems. And then most recently, to take care of our breakout last time, I used API Ick Cure for the first time, and honestly, not bad, no complaints here. Now some of those ick cures will stain your aquarium. They kind of have a blue tint, so where your seals are in the aquarium will come away a little bit blue, maybe some of your decor. So if you have a problem with that, then maybe you go the natural route. So if I'm working at my fish store, I just close off anything in that water system for at least a week, usually 2 weeks, because better safe than sorry. Now the thing you do have to worry about, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that when your fish stops showing spots, that doesn't mean that the ick is completely gone in the aquarium. Because what will happen is those parasites will start falling off, and your fish will look better, they'll feel better, but those parasites are falling down into the substrate and they're still sitting in your tank. So your treatment, your temperature, your salt, whatever you're using, you want to keep that up even after the fish start looking better. Like, make sure you're keeping it up for at least a week and maybe all the way to 2 weeks. Because you don't want those parasites to fall off and they're sitting in the substrate and then they multiply and you turn the temperature back down or stop treating and it goes right back to being the same problem. So a lot of people even say that once a tank has ick, it always has ick. You never actually get rid of all the parasites. And I don't know if that's absolutely true, but thinking in a commercial space, I can say that as soon as something happens and the conditions aren't right, the fish are extra stressed or maybe a heater stops working, then that's when I do tend to see an ick outbreak, even if I haven't gotten new fish. So it is very possible that it's just lurking around, and as soon as those conditions change, the ick has a chance to spread. So to summarize, ick and most other parasites can be treated the same way. So when you start seeing those white spots on your fish, and if it gets bad, maybe you start seeing them losing their appetite or they're scratching against things in the tank, then you want to take action. My first go-to is raising that temperature up into the mid-80s and adding a little bit of aquarium salt. And if I see it getting worse, then we're going to go with some more serious treatments. So products I have used are IckX by Hikari and most recently API Ick Cure. There's some other ones out there that should be just fine for you, but I can't vouch for anything I haven't used. Then you want to make sure you keep that treatment, those tank conditions up for 7 to 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks, because you don't want that ick to fall off and come right back. So I hope this video was helpful for you. And if it was, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you in the next one. Good luck, guys.